Got traffic there. Blaster, just take it up to the departure end of the runway, then a left turn and a left downwind. Cessna over the threshold, coming up on the white dot, at or beyond the white dot, left turn first available. I got a high wind coming up on about a half-mile final, clear to land at or beyond. Traffic on the left base, you're following a Cessna down, low off your left. Square it up just a little bit, and then we're going to get you in. Start your descent, though. Start your descent on the base. Traffic on final, give me follow on base. Base traffic, start turning toward the numbers now. High wing coming up on quarter-mile final, take it all the way down to the green. Cessna taxiing on the green, expedite down to the next hard surface. Get me some speed, there you go, 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 go fast. This is going to be good. I got traffic on a mile final. You're following traffic ahead and to your right. High wing coming up on the threshold. Take it all the way down to the green dot.
5 Charlie Sierra, 2 mile final.
A mile final, turn north, and we're going to just make you, we're going to bring you back around. Jet traffic's coming up on about a mile and a half final. Runway 9er clear to land.
Okay, all right. Let's listen up, guys. If you're on final for runway 9, I want you to offset to the left. I got a jet that's landing on runway 9. The jet's cleared to land runway 9 if you can make it. If not, just continue straight ahead. It looks like you're going around for the jet. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Oh, we have one right in front of us, sir.
Dragger. Let's see. What we got? A tricycle. Tricycle, put it down. Tricycle, put it down. Tricycle, put it down. Tail dragger. Down to the green dot, then a left turn. Short final here. You cleared to land on 9 all the way to the white dot. Go down to the white dot. Find somebody to follow out here. Canard, just come to the runway, and I might have to just send you around. That'll be fine. And for the jet, you just want to stay in this pattern, or you want to go back out for an instrument approach?
Stay in a pattern, Charlie Sierra.
All right, just stay with me here for a minute. And my tail dragger, let's see, over the numbers, go down to the green. And Canard's going to have to go around. Canard, go around. Canard, go around. Canard, go around. And my high wing here over the runway, keep it airborne. Keep it airborne. You do not descend. Do not descend. You got a fast guy behind you. Do not descend. There you go. Keep it airborne. Keep it airborne. As soon as the guy behind you gets slowed down, I'm going to put you down. So keep it airborne. The one that just passed the white dot, make a left turn on the hard surface. All right, my high wing tail dragger, you can put it down now. You can put it down now. And Charlie Sierra, let me get you about a mile off. Let's see, Charlie Sierra, lost. There you are. Make a left-hand turn. I'll try to resequence you here on the downwinds. We'll see how it looks. Short final, you're clear to land runway 9 on the white dot. Clear to land on the white dot. There you go. And the tricycle left on the hard surface and follow the flagman. Welcome. Thanks for being part of the show. And let's see, just find somebody to follow out follow on the final. And as you get close to the runway, if it's not going to work, we're going to send you around and then try to resequence you. Now, who else got sent around that's not back on the downwind? The Canard?
Yeah, Canard.
All right, Canard, there's a Gulfstream up there that went around too. I just lost sight of him, but you're going to make kind of a left-hand turn and stay low. I think Charlie Sierra, what's your altitude?
3,200.
Okay, that'll be fine. Just maintain VFR. I don't know what else is up there above you. Probably most everybody's down here, so just make a left-hand turn. We'll try to get you back here.
Canard's got the jet in sight.
Okay, the RV, maybe an RV-10, whatever, you're on final. Keep your speed up and go all the way down to the, aim for the green dot for me. Actually, keep your speed up. There's a guy behind you. Aim for the green dot, and I'm sure that's plenty of room for you to land on runway 9. You're clear to land on runway 9. Number 2, you're going to go down to the white dot. Follow the white dot. Actually, you know what? That's 1,500 feet. You're going to land at the white dot. The spacing looks adequate here. 2 guys on final. You're kind of tight there. Keep each other in sight, and you're going to aim for the white dot. If it's not going to work, we'll come up with a plan B. We might have to send you around. The second guy behind you out there in about a 2-mile final. Are you slow enough to be able to follow that guy in front of you? You need to go around.
Yeah, follow.
Well, I probably shouldn't ask that because I had about 5 guys answer me, so I should know better than that. After 35 years, you would think, right? All right, so let me see. The guy who's number 1, it's number 1. What kind of airplane is he? An RV type. All right, RV type. Keep it airborne for me. Keep it airborne. And I got a fast guy behind you. The number 2 guy over the trees there. Go ahead and put it down on the numbers. Put it down on the numbers. My first guy just coming up on the numbers at the over the grass at the numbers. I want you to keep it.
T-minus 1 minute and counting.
Hello. Four, 3, 2, 1.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome. Oh, blimey! I'll tell you what. I've just sat down in this chair about 30 seconds ago.
Yeah, you were racing some traffic, weren't you, to get to Henstridge just in time? So
I was racing some traffic to get to Henstridge, and I'm sitting at the.
Oh wow, you've got the great venue. You're in the top of the fabulous maintenance hangar at Henstridge, which looks out over the beautiful floor of vintage aeroplanes.
Absolutely. Might as well just take a little walk around while I'm here for everybody. There you go.
Look at that.
What's going on there? Look at that.
Lots
Anyway,
of
that's enough of that.
Yeah. So no, Johnny. Johnny had other things to do this morning. So Johnny, we miss you. But otherwise, it's live stream as normal. But it's the first live stream we've ever had on Friday the 13th.
Absolutely.
So it is.
Yeah. I have to say.
And Dan Subhani's on his way. Yeah. So he'll be here in a bit. So it just leaves Ian to do all the normal stuff.
Okay, well, in that case, first thing I would like to do is to say, I was going to say we've got an amazing show for you tonight, but what I mean is we've got a show that we should have had last night, but we got tonight. So we'll see how we can manage that. Obviously, we're well aware that people's time at 10:30 on a Friday the 13th, is not quite as free as it is on a Thursday evening. So we're going to try not to wibble too much. But first of all, I am going to say, I can't even get this bit set up yet.
That's all right. You talk about it, and I've got the video ready.
Okay, in that case, thank you very much, SkyDemon, for supporting the live stream. And here is this week's top tip.
Hi, I'm Rob from SkyDemon, and here's another top tip. In this example, we've planned to take the low-level corridor, but we have managed to get a transit to go through Liverpool's airspace. So what we can do is press the Find button up here, and then choose a waypoint further down our route, such as Chorley, and say, take shortcut. Now, SkyDemon has skipped the intermediate waypoints, going straight to our chosen waypoint. For more information, check out our website, www.skydemon.aero.
There you go. More people should go direct Chorley, I say.
Sure. Yes.
It also works for other waypoints down your route.
Is it time for some weather?
It is.
Ooh, almost certainly. I'm getting very bored of these gusty winds.
I'll tell you what, I'll play the weather.
Okay.
Evening all, hope you're well this evening and looking forward to some flying this weekend. It is quite a complicated weather situation for this weekend, particularly early on. So I'm going to use a different series of charts. These are the high resolution weather, pressure and rainfall charts from the German ICON model. And the time of each of these charts is shown here in the top right of each of the charts. Effectively, as I say, these charts show cloud. So where we see most cloud is where we've got the white colours. Where we've got clearer skies is where we've got grey colours. And where we've got rain are these blues here. Think of that as forecast radar. And then you can see the isobars in there as well. So what have we got ahead? Let's just move through Friday, and you'll see that we've got broken cloud on Friday morning, some mist, some murk early on, but that will slowly be lifting. A few showers through Scotland, and then during the afternoon on Friday, look at that area of rain that comes into southwest England and into southern Wales. That then edges its way northwards as we go through the evening, and the cloud increases generally across many parts of England and Wales. Visibility will be decreasing as well, and we'll find increasingly misty, murky conditions throughout the Channel, through high ground of southern England and also Wales. So it's not going to be particularly excellent. Then we get thundery rain moving northwards overnight, some of that quite heavy, and by Saturday morning, that's across northern England, across to North Wales, Eastern Ireland. Some showers affecting the Western Midlands, drier though across central and eastern parts of the East Midlands, East Anglia and South East England. Drier too in northwest Scotland. Quite a bit of mist around though, first thing across many southern and eastern areas. Haze, visibility reduced, quite messy. Now during Saturday morning, that rain then edges its way through Scotland. Heavy, thundery bursts of rain. You can see that shown by the yellow and the orange colours, and across Ireland as well. And heavy showers for northwest England, for Wales, getting into parts of the Western Midlands. But again, look at the East Midlands, East Anglia, South East England, that's where we see the best breaks in the cloud. And through the afternoon, the heavy showers kind of transfer northwards to northern England, Scotland, Ireland. They tend to fade a little bit from Wales, from central southern England, as cloud increases across East Anglia and the South East. Now, there's no point me even thinking about trying to put cloud bases and tops on there, because you'll be here all day as I give you the variations of them. So it's going to be best to check out Form 215, the TAFs, and the METARs and the gametes, I think, for Saturday. As we're going towards Sunday, so we find pressure building a little bit. So Sunday morning, a few showers across northern England, some rain getting into western parts of Scotland, but that tends to fade, look, as it goes eastwards during the day. Notice that other areas are drier as a weak ridge of high pressure builds in. Typical cloud bases on Sunday afternoon, around about 3,000 feet, tops at about 10,000 feet for most. Probably a little bit higher in Scotland, particularly where we've seen those showers. But on Sunday, the visibility improves. It looks to be the better flying day for most of us of the weekend. But like I say, a really complex situation. Lots of detail in there. Do check out 214, 215, the gametes and the TAFs for more information close to the time. Now, Aviation Weather School kicks off on Tuesday. We've got the second session on this coming Tuesday. If you missed that, then just let me know that you want me to tell you the dates for the next course. Go to the contact us form at weatherschool.co.uk, click on contact, and just let me know that you want me to add you onto the course. If you can't wait, then why not take my Pilot's Guide to Scoutees course? You get that at weatherschool.co.uk, and you can take that immediately. It takes about 3 hours, and wow, it will open up the world of Scoutees to you and improve your flying no end. Right. I will leave you with that for now. Have a great weekend, won't you? And I'll see you next week. Bye for now.
Excellent, excellent. I'll tell you what, should we bring Dan in straight away?
Yes.
Why not? Yeah,
why not? Let's Sid.
Dan and Sid, how you doing? Complaints department, 100 miles away. Oh, we're great. I'll tell you what, it was a bit of a nightmare last night with all technology. Thank you very much for joining us today. I'm going to hand over to Ed while I find some Spamfield pictures. So, Ed.
Or even over to Dave.
Dave. Sorry, Dave.
That's all right. So, Spamfield, the Microlight Rally is on this weekend with pilots flying in from all over, weather permitting, of course, and staying for the weekend. Dan, who's here, Dan is owner of Sandown Airfield, and it's fair to say that Dan Subhani has revolutionised the airport over the last few years with his no big restrictions, no miserable people ethos. And of course, great food as well, Dan. So Dan, we're going to talk about Spamfield. Our planning isn't always great, but yours seems to run smoothly every year.
Well, hopefully. I mean, Sid has a lot to do with it. He does most of the planning. But in all honesty, so Spamfield's been running since 2001. It was originally set up by a guy called John Moore, a big microlight enthusiast. Later on, it was taken over by the BMAA, and now I run it here. There's a lot of planning goes into it because if the weather's nice, we can have about 200 aircraft here. And one landing every 15, 20 seconds. We're very fortunate at Sandown in that we've actually ended up with a lot of very, very good experienced marshals who do a real cracking job. We've got ex-FISOs in the tower. So, it's hard work, but it's really good fun. Touch wood, we've never really had any major issue here. And long may that continue. Just a word to the pilots, if you radio in and there's lots of traffic, please, we don't need everyone's mother's Black Forest cake recipe. All we need to know is who are you, where are you, and what do you want? And keep a good listen out. Just remember, aviate, navigate, communicate.
So there's no PPR for any
no PPR. So we know we're going to be busy. So I'd rather my radio operators are looking out of the window giving people safety advice rather than answering the phone and giving people the same information every 10 seconds.
Yeah. So
in the winter, we do ask people to ring for a bit of safety advice to check the ground conditions. But if people want to ring to find out, what it's like here, that's fine. But we don't call it PPR.
So you haven't got pages and pages of pilots' VFR briefing guides?
Absolutely not, because you can over-engineer things.
Yes,
What we want people to do is they're all pilots, they're all qualified, and we expect them to know what we're doing.
Yes, sure. Are there any changes for this year? Will it be recognisable as a usual Spamfield?
Yeah, so it's pretty much the same. Pilots will start flying in today, I dare say, getting their tents out. Then this evening we'll have a bar open till 7, 8 o'clock. Really good food as well. I'm also one of the chefs, so I cook a really good Pakistani curry that's become quite famous because I'm half Pakistani, as well as half German. I've got a Jewish doctor that thinks everyone hates me, but that's not the case. Okay, Sid will vouch for me. Okay, and then tomorrow's the really big day when it gets very busy. And then we'll have a bar open until 11 o'clock. We do ask people not to get too drunk because they are flying. Good food, good fun. It's a really good way for all the pilots to meet up together, talk about what's happening, what's happened to them, chew the fat, as they say.
Yeah. And of course, the title Spamfield comes from a little bit of a microlight thing, which is, spam cans.
That's exactly where it comes from, spam cans.
But all aircraft are welcome, aren't they? It's not just microlight.
Absolutely. So in the old days, they used to call it a microlight rally. Since I took over at Sandown, I really don't like the them and us bit. We all fly together. And in these days, you take my CTSW and compare it with a Group A. I fly faster than most of them, and I have far more endurance than most. So what's the difference? We're all pilots, and we're all welcome.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it's all starting behind you, Dan. We can hear it.
Yes, they're starting slowly. We'll get our usual traffic as well. So on a nice sunny day like this, Sandown, we get 40, 50 aircraft in easily, even on a midweek.
Yeah. So finally, you did mention the food, but what is on the menu for the weekend?
Okay, so what we've done is you'll normally have pizzas and barbecues, but because of the number of people and the number of staff we'd have to have, we've got some Pakistani curries, we've got burgers, we've got chili, potatoes, ham, egg and chips is always a great favourite. So that's kind of the menu.
Yep. I said finally,
but the best thing on the menu is the fun.
So I said finally, but have you guys got any questions you'd like to put to Dan?
And the important thing is if you've got any complaints, Sid here's our customer services manager, and France is 100 miles that way.
I have to say, I think Sandown's laid the airfield with the best attitude in the UK, really. And I need to come and buy one of your T-shirts.
Yeah.
So, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, well, we wish you all the best of luck, and hopefully the weather is kind to you, and you're going to have an amazing weekend.
Thank you very much indeed. Thanks for inviting me. Enjoy yourselves.
It's a pleasure. Sorry about last night, but
don't worry.
Thanks for coming in today.
See you soon.
Cheers. You will.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Fabulous.
Brilliant.
I hope Dan's voice lasts the whole weekend.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, he's not in the tower.
Yeah.
Right. Let's get things going. Just conscious of people.
We are in the news because Dave had the lead story, which was Spamfield. I've got the next news, which is all about the Vans RV15. And this is, we've obviously heard about this in previous years. Progress on this has been a bit stalled because obviously Vans found themselves in Chapter 11 issues a while ago, and the RV15, which was obviously a development prototype, went on the back burner. But the good news is obviously Vans out of Chapter 11 now. They've got their recovery plan, and they've been working steadily on the aeroplane. And it's been having some quite heavy re-engineering. Like they said from the start, the aeroplane, the first 15, was an engineering prototype. So it was all about kind of finding their way. And they said, we're not scared to change things. Actually, they really haven't. Well, they really have with this because it's gained a new pair of wings, smaller span, smaller flaps. But the flaps are pretty cool. They've got built-in vortex generators. And Ryan Johnson, their chief designer made the first flight on the newly winged 15 and reported that flap system works great. They're really happy with the improvements. Aeroplane flies straight, stalls well, and performs exceptionally well in slow flight. They've changed the tail as well. It did have an all-flying stabilator. That's now got a kind of RV-10 style constant chord tailplane with a fixed tailplane and moving elevators. So there's some changes afoot. Anyway, this is all about getting the aeroplane to Oshkosh again, which they're hoping to do, and Oshkosh is not far around the corner. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see and hear what's going on with that. But I think they're clearly keen to get that aeroplane out, because there's a market for that that's just waiting for it. So
I have to say, sorry, Dave, carry on.
I was just going to say, I saw a picture of the flaps deployed. I mean, they might be smaller, but they're still pretty big and effective, aren't they?
Oh yeah, and early on in the 15's development, Ryan and Dick Van Grunsven, they looked at all sorts of all sorts of high wing style aeroplanes, and looked at flap systems. And I think in the end, they really liked the Cessna Bird Dog, which has got big flaps that deploy quite a long way. So but it's like everything, when you've got big surfaces like that deploy, you kind of need to find a control balance, and that's why it had the all flying stabilator to begin with. It's like we'll be able to trim these things out. So it really has been a bit of a a bit of a journey with this one. But vans are all about handling, and I think this is all about coming up with an RV. It may be high wing, but it'll still carry all the kind of RV handling values. And critically, Dick Van Grunsven has actually been flying it, because they've I know he and Ryan have been off and doing a whole bunch of stuff. So.
I have to say, it would be on my list of things to possibly buy in the future for a project, but there's a couple of concerns that I have with it at the moment, which are a little bit personal. One is I think the undercarriage looks a bit weird at the moment on that, and I'm not entirely sure that I don't know, just looks a bit weird. But probably the bigger concern is the fact that it's powered by an IO390, and there's nothing wrong with that engine at all, other than the fact that it's an avgas only engine, and we all know what's going to happen to avgas in sort of the early 2030s, 2032, and so which will probably take me that long to build it, to be honest.
It does seem like vans are going to offer a 180 horse option as well, which will be the that'll be the parallel valve 180, which with the constant speed prop, I'm sure will probably perform great. Obviously, home builders all get obsessed about power, so.
Yeah, I mean, understandably, but the fact of the matter is that we ought to be, well, hopefully the engine manufacturers are all developing unleaded avgas engines that will come around. So, good. Right, next story is a news story that didn't exist last night, at least not on our list of things. So, Dave, I'm handing over to you for
Robinson. Yes, it was just came out late yesterday about Robinson Helicopter Company. I've got FAA approval to install a new digital helicopter flight control system on the R66 turbine. In fact, this is it kind of passed us by at the time, but at the annual helicopter show in March, where they launched the big one, the R88, they also slipped in an updated version of the R66, where they call the NXG. Anyway, since then they've sort of that's the updated is mostly the cosmetics on the outside and the inside. Full Garmin avionics throughout, and they've just taken advantage of Garmin's GFC 600H, which is the one with all the digital safety controls. So the kind of things it's got are it keeps pilots, when it's operational, it keeps pilots within operational limits. So it keeps low G protection, low altitude protection, all that kind of stuff that we see on some of the high-end Garmin avionics fitted to, say, Cirrus and many other aircraft. So it sounds like a really big step forwards, and they've just got FAA approval for it. I haven't got anything like prices yet. They are not going to be cheap.
Yeah, I have to say, doing that kind of protection in a helicopter is a whole different ballgame to do it in a fixed wing. And even in my little lowly Cessna 182, the GFC 500, which is the little sister of the GFC 600, offers what they call electronic stability protection. So that allows you to, it won't allow you to overspeed, it won't allow you to stall, it won't allow you to overbank, etc., etc. And the autopilot's, even when the autopilot's off and not engaged, it sits there in the background, monitors what you're doing, and if it thinks you're doing it wrong, it gives you a little nudge back. It's quite a good system. It's quite a good system. I thought when you said it got a new one, they would go, here's a Robinson helicopter. It's new. It's got luggage that matches the paint.
No, this is the weird press picture they put out.
Yeah,
that's a stupid press picture.
It is. I'm still excited about. You've got RR66 with all this tech, but you've also got Skyrise with their completely different tech flying Robinson, haven't they? And
the fly-by-wire.
I'm still excited to see where that goes. So.
Yes. Yeah.
The next news story was due to be Jonny, but Jonny's not here. Effectively, this is about the Bournemouth Air Show, but we're going to play. In fact, the Bournemouth Air Show, they've decided that Bournemouth are not going to fund the Air Show this year for various reasons, and that may well spell the end of the Bournemouth Air Show. Probably does. And Jonny interviewed yesterday George Bacon, so we'll play that interview in a little while so you can listen to see what George had to say about that, which brings me to my news story, which is this came out yesterday, the annual safety review by the AAIB. Unfortunately, all of the notes I made on it are back in a different desk to the one I'm sitting at the moment. However, the key points that I remember from it was there were 10 in 2024. There were 10 fatal accidents in UK aviation, all of them in general aviation, and in those 10 accidents, 11 people died. The analysis of the accident and the causes of the accidents led to 6 of them being categorized as loss of control, which loss of control has kind of firmly established itself at the top of a league that no one really wants to be top of, understandably. I'm sure people like Mark Greenfield and his UPRT courses will have quite a lot to say for that. One of the other categories was unintended flight into IMC. That kind of ended up in both categories, both unintended flight into IMC and in the loss of control. The loss of control was a result of that. There was another one which was I can't remember what the exact phrases the AAB used, but basically a non-optimal runway contact. That's not how they describe it, but that kind of relates to the RV accident down in Truro, I think, where the aircraft landed
not on the runway.
Not on the runway. Hit a bit of a berm and flipped over.
Yeah.
And then lastly, there was 2 others. There was a component failure in the gyrocopter and a mid-air, which was 2 gliders bermaning, in which part of flight where gliders get pretty close, can do. So go have a read of that. There's a whole load of stuff about UAS, as you might imagine. Fortunately, no fatalities in the US, but interestingly, loss of control seems to be replicated in the UAS community, obviously for different reasons.
Yeah.
But it's definitely part of it. So, right, Ed.
Me, so I've got a really good story about a can of aviation worms. And this is going on in South Africa, where a policy shift from the South African Civil Aviation Authority has essentially grounded over 1,400 light aircraft. It revolves around an AIC introduced in September 2001. The SACA AIC 1819 provided an exemption and an alternate method of compliance through inspection for engines that had gone past manufacturer time limits, where manufacturers of engines say, we think if you get to 12 years, you should consider overhauling the engine or replacing other parts. So this exemption has been in place. But in 2023, the SACA decided to withdraw 1819 without consultation. There was a whole bunch of panic amongst flight schools, owners, students, and that was because there was an accident where a Piper Lance had an engine failure where a crankshaft snapped, and the engine hadn't been overhauled in accordance with manufacturer's instructions. So there's panic about that. There was a lot of pushback, including the government. And in the end, they went, oh, well, changes in legislation that had happened in 2011 meant you couldn't change the existing AIFC, so it's been operating on a 180-day review, and those exemptions can only go on so long. That's also fallen into step with an accident that happened in December 2024 when an aircraft was lost at a flight school. The engine was older than the 12-year overhaul life, and the insurers said, we're not paying out because that's not in compliance with the maintenance regulations. So SACA have now decided to enforce the 12-year engine overhaul rule. Insurance underwriter estimates suggest that 70% of the aging fleet of fixed-wing aircraft and helicopters over there could be affected. And internet chatter suggests that scores of owners and operators may not yet be aware that they might be flying effectively unairworthy aircraft illegally and without insurance cover. So,
but they're still airworthy. It's just they're
still airworthy.
Not legally airworthy.
That's it, yeah. And some are even saying that given the higher risk of engine failure after major overhaul work, this ruling could result in an increase in accidents. So, and if one airworthiness authority does this, could we see similar things following suit elsewhere? But you think
let's hope not.
Let's hope not. Yeah, but clearly at a time when parts for we know it's difficult enough to get a set of cylinders in the post-COVID world anyway. So throw in 1,000+ aeroplanes that need bits, maybe, and that's creating a real logjam.
Yeah,
absolutely. Okay, in quick news, I'm going to be a little Jonny for the next news story. Then I'm going to hand over to one of you while I tee up some other video.
Okay.
And so, well, you talk about why people should join the club. But anyway, basically, if you're looking to point people in the direction of how much it costs to learn to fly, clearly everyone who watches this can fly already. But if you can't, this is a good video for you. Jonny and Rachel
I got it.
Jonny and Rachel have just released how much the UK pilot's license costs. You can go and see that on YouTube, and that will tell you the answer. Spoiler alert, is more than you might think, but it's still well worth it, of course. And yes, so there you go. Go watch that video. Right, if you chaps want to carry on with why people should join.
I'll cover for Flyer for Jonny and tell you that the Flyer Club June landing fees are East Kirkby, Jersey, Balado and Sackville Farm. And don't forget, you can catch up on your members page with a whole bunch of Flyer Club webinars, which include Dave White giving you your Flying into Europe update. Tuesday, what have we got? Oh, no, that's an old date. But there was Steve Morley with Sprinkling Your Flying, Ed Bellamy on piston engine aircraft icing, and obviously Greener's brilliant, excellent advice about forced landings. And all of those are on the members' dashboard. So.
Yes. And there's another one coming up on the 24th of June.
Yeah.
Which I'm supposed to be doing, but completely forgotten the subject.
It's on how to get your license back and
oh right, yes, that's right. Revalidation and renewals.
Revalidation and renewals.
Tips to ace your ace your proficiency check, isn't it?
That's right.
That's it. Okay, so that video is now ready. This is a video that of an interview that Jonny did yesterday with George Bacon about the future of air shows and Bournemouth. It's about 11 minutes long. This is the original version, so it's a little bit of cutting that should have been done at the beginning and at the end. I apologise for that, but that is back at my other desk. I should have remembered that as well this morning, but I didn't. So here you go with that video.
Oh, shit.
George, to the Flyer live stream again. We've been talking earlier in the news about the news from Bournemouth Air Show in that the council have voted to not seek sponsorship for future air shows. What's your take on this?
Well, in many ways, it's not surprising. It was a difficult year going through the trawl for finding alternative ways to run the show. So very fortunately, I've been involved in the show and helped develop it since 2008. So I've got a pretty good inside knowledge and working of where we got to today. Council budgets are all squeezed across the country. They all face different dilemmas. Some of them continue to pursue it and have found ways to do that. Others decided to look at alternative events. one of the proposals, and I was also fortunate to meet with the visiting American team last year as well, was of course never really going to cut the mustard, to be perfectly honest, because it meant closing down not just the beaches but also some of the access roads higher up on the cliffside. And that, of course, is detrimental to the entire local public and their access to what is their natural local facility, being, that bit of open space. And it's a considerable and beautiful piece of open space. So the plan produced by, and it was part of the Pacific Air Shows group, was, of course, to monetize that fantastic space. It is a natural amphitheatre and a great place to run an air display. But by monetizing that, of course, that also diverts the profits into different directions, i.e. mainly into private enterprise and not into the local economy. So for me, there were two reasons why it was not a good venture to pursue. Sadly, they haven't got an alternate one at the moment, but I've certainly been talking to some like-minded individuals to find alternative ways to do that. Yet to be what can we say, matured.
So you mentioned Americans coming over. More broadly, how does the British display scene compare to the rest of the world, in your opinion?
Well, it's very healthy. I mean, we have one of the most active, not necessarily one of the most financially lucrative, because, of course, so many of the shows are free. So when it comes to the numbers, we're quoting about 120 million a year income to local communities. But actually, if they were all ticketed, that would be a considerably larger figure. And the best example of that, of course, is Riyadh, the International Air Tattoo at Fairford, which now turns over in the region of £12 million a year. Just that one show. Pretty extraordinary stuff. But where the money is, where it goes, of course, is into local businesses. And that's absolutely essential for all communities to benefit from. But what, in comparison to Europe and many other places, of course, I'd say an awful lot of shows throughout the rest of the world are ticketed, and therefore you have a set budget within which and an income that you can predict. What's really, really difficult at the seaside shows is that, particularly on a weather-based outcome, it's not so easy. But the sort of ideas going through my head, well, first of all, it is surprising we've got this hiatus. So why would any organization not wish to support an event which routinely attracts in the region of 200,000 people a day, and also routinely brings in £30 million to the local economy in 1 week? So there is a significant package there to be managed. What's broken is the fact that there isn't a cycle of money returning itself back to the council, who have been, up until the last year, the underwriters of the whole event. So what we need to search for, and this would appeal, I think, to all councils, is a mechanism whereby part of that huge turnover can be returned back to councils. And there are many ways of skinning that cat. For example, Edinburgh, and I think Manchester are about to embark on the same thing, have introduced a tourist stroke events levy. And something that's been massively popular, particularly in the United States, for decades and decades. So you try going to LA and finding a hotel where you don't have an extra premium, for example, of $40 on your bill. And that's just, for what is provided there. So I think these are the sort of things that we really need to nail down, and we probably need to do it with government assistance. I mean, the UK events industry and the UK Events Enterprise, that represents a group that I'm now involved with, basically is looking at a turnover of the things we do so well in England of around £70 billion. And that's, that is a significant chunk of the UK economy. So I think there's got to be a way. It requires a bit of lateral thinking and brainstorming. And I would hope that we will, hopefully in the next, over the winter period, find a solution.
And what is the industry and organisations associated with the echo industry? What are they sort of doing to try and help?
Well, I don't know what others are doing. I know what I'm doing, and I'm doing it with the help of, also the interest of one or two other event organisers who have been involved in other shows. So we had a short meeting at Torbay just a couple of weeks ago, Clearly, TSA have been embedded alongside me in running, the FTD and the content and everything else. So they've been in it since year one as well. So we have a vested interest in trying to help our communities, keep these things going. But some councils, of course, are doing it. Torbay, for example, had a really, really sticky patch and brought in another event organizer, UK individual, to help them refocus and remanage the budget. Eastbourne, under Pete Martin, has done a fantastic job in keeping their show at 4 days by once again really taking a microscopic look at the way the council budget runs. Southport proceeding very successfully, albeit they can ticket the event there because they found a way to, in fact, the geography helps them to seal off part of the beach, but not all of it. So there are success stories out there.
And other than actually attending, is there anything that the general public can do to help the industry?
Well, of course, they generally do that, and that is by simple things like buying programs and putting money in buckets. But it's really, really tricky to, when you're planning an open space, to think of any form of ticketing. Eastbourne did try it. I think it was about must be 9 or 10 years ago now, probably a bit longer. But it really didn't work. It's a very, very tough thing to do. And of course, it irritates the local community to close off what is its rightful access to open spaces. And that is also enshrined in law.
Absolutely.
It's quite a conundrum, isn't it?
Yeah. From the display participants' point of view, how healthy is it at the moment? Is there, obviously we see the warbird industry seems to be doing well, but in terms of new young people getting involved, what's your take on that?
Everything right now needs young people. I also work in the vintage car touring market and vintage car events. They desperately need young people to get involved in the technical management of old things. I think we're in quite a good place with aviation. Some excellent companies out there have been doing it for many, many years. What's, of course, has really helped one section of the warbird community, notably the Spitfire, is the Cap 632 SSAC, the ability to fly passengers. That's a major game changer in keeping those well maintained and preserved for many decades to come. But I think generally the mood is very healthy. It's forever optimistic, but this year's results will show a downturn, and we have to admit that and take it on the chin, and find innovative ways to do this. What is growing, and certainly one of the things I'm getting more and more involved in, is very small hybrid events. Where there's perhaps an agricultural show or there's some other vintage car show. So the one I help manage myself at Middle Wallop, we have 300 vintage cars, but we're now building an air display around what's going on the ground. And that air display is growing year on year, which is fantastic. And there are all sorts of other people trying to enter the market because it's still massively appealing. Like I did a job for a boat show just a couple of years ago. For example, so there are lots of ways to keep air displays going, but maybe, certainly it's not maybe. The council budgeting process is broken, and we need to fix it.
Yeah, brilliant. Talk us through any highlights you've got coming up this summer. What are you looking forward to? What are you attending? What are you commentating at?
Well, I think number one has got to be this: is we're all looking forward to decent weather, and we hope that 2 months' worth of an early spring wasn't this year's summer. So that's got to be number one, because that really does affect our business hugely. But I'm personally involved. I'm involved with Swansea and Southport and Eastbourne and several more to come. But I'm doing more FTD work, albeit relatively low level. Although Abingdon's still a challenge. In many ways, because of the way the management of the airfield has changed. So there is plenty going on. You've only got to ask the CAA with the number of permissions that they authorise every year, and talk to the MAA, the number of Form 1s they receive for events. So there's lots of business going on. But in terms of making it, what can we say, really apparent to the government to get more assistance, it's tricky because the numbers actually are relatively low. I mean, it sounds a lot, 120 million, but actually in the big order of UK events, it's relatively small. And we need to find better ways of presenting what we're doing to attract more and more investment and obviously more and more spectators. The involvement of STEM on the ground. I mean, the likes of Riyadh have done the most fantastic job. There is a vast amount for people to see and visit and entertain the entire family on the ground, as well as having one of the longest air displays in the country. Yeah. So I'd say quietly optimistic. Some tricky issues this year, but hopefully we'll make some progress during the winter.
Brilliant. George, thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Excellent.
There you go. That was more upbeat than I thought it would be, to be honest.
Yeah, same here.
George is a great guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
He is a great guy.
Yeah.
Johnny was going to go. Johnny was going to go first with Fantasy Hangar. You better explain what it is, Ed. Sorry.
Yeah, shall I do my normal bit? So, so this week we asked our Wednesday afternoon Skystream audience for their ideas for Fantasy Hangar because we were short of ideas, and the challenge that we got was most horsepower for least outlay, and that was suggested by Cloudhound. So who's first? And it would have been Johnny.
It would have been Johnny. Then it's Dave.
So
right.
Dave instead.
Well, I've not gone for a high horsepower aircraft, but I think the equation of how many pounds per horsepower, I probably got this one. I think it'd be hard to beat. I've chosen a thruster T600T. Here it is. The T stands for tail wheel. There's also an N version, where the N stands for nose wheel. This particular aircraft is fitted with a Rotax 582 two-stroke engine producing 65 horsepower. And as you can see, it's in lovely condition. The asking price is just £4,000. £4,000 for a fully working aircraft. And anyway, that works out at £61.54 per horsepower. That's going to be pretty tough to beat.
That is pretty impressive, and has 2 seats as well.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yes, that is the downside of this particular aircraft, in that it has a maximum weight limited to 390 kilograms.
Okay.
And the aircraft weight is somewhere between 190 to 200, according to the equipment and that kind of thing. So it leaves it a bit tight on weight on the weight front.
That's not that tight. That's 190 kilograms for 2 people and some fuel.
Yeah.
Well, if you see it, they generally work out about 86 kilograms per person. Typical of microlight.
So if you've got 2 people, you've still got some fuel. You can go and do half an hour, can't you?
Yeah, well, that's about it.
That's probably what you want
in the BMAA rules, there's a rule that says you've got to be able to take 2 passengers and enough fuel for an hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it might be close, but anyway, that's a lot of aeroplane for not much money.
Yeah,
that's a huge amount of airplane for not much money. I'm not a huge 2-stroke fan. That's his main drawback for me.
And I think 2-strokes are always going to win in this kind of competition. 2-strokes.
I don't know. I think I'm going to win. I might not win on the mathematical thing, but I think I win on the desirability and the.
Have you gone desirability over value for money?
Let's be honest. A 2-stroke microlight with a 390 kilo max all that weight is never really going to be my natural habitat, is it? Should we say? So I went for something that, until I started researching, I'd never heard of it. It's not past 66, and there it is. So you take a look at that. I mean, that's basically started off a Yugoslavian military aircraft. I'm not entirely sure there were any ever civilian certified. So they got sold off, and most of them are now flying in the States under the experimental exhibition category. As you can see, it's got fixed leading edge slats. It's got massive flaps. The ailerons actually droop when the flaps are full, fully down, that is, and it's powered by a GSO. Which one? GSO something, I think. I was, and you get another note I don't have with me. Basically, a Lycoming geared supercharged engine that develops 340 horsepower at,
Wow.
believe it or not, 3,700 RPM. So that thing is screaming. That will be like the bloody loudest aircraft you could imagine at takeoff. Certainly not a stealth aircraft. Takes off and lands. I'll get to that in a second. Takes off and lands in 400 feet. How much fun could you have with that? Four-seater, and it's yours for a mere $85,000, which is not. That's a lot of aircraft for $85,000.
So what's your equation come to?
About 150 quid. About 150 quid
Per horsepower.
Per horsepower. Yeah. I kind of ignored the fact that it'd be like VAT to pay in a ferry flight and all the rest of it, because you'd kind of live in America for that, wouldn't you? But I reckon that's a pretty interesting aircraft, and one that I didn't know much about. It's kind of like it's sort of Helio Courier meets Cessna 180.
There was a period of time in the late 80s, early 90s where all of a sudden aircraft, people interested in airplanes kind of discovered all these oddball airplanes in places like Yugoslavia, and there was a kind of an influx to the UK. There's a few, none of those, but there's some other Yugoslavian ground attack airplanes and things that made it to the UK market. Oddball airplane for sure.
Definitely. So I'm a big fan of that. So there you go. Thank you all, everyone, for voting for me. Please vote for me now.
Well, yeah. So I found I dug deep into A4s, and back in May, and it still appears to be for sale. I found this. It's an SSDR Streak Shadow. It's a factory built example, so it's nice looking and well done. And it too, like Dave's thruster, has a 65 horsepower Rotax 582. Now, Dave, unfortunately for you, this one was just £3,500. So that means my £3,500 divided by 65 equals £53 per horsepower. So yours was hard to beat, but I've beaten you. So.
But that is SSDR. I mean, it can only have one person in it.
It does mean it can only have one person in it, but at least it means I'm flying legally and not illegally like you and your thruster.
Meanwhile, in my service ceiling of 19,000 feet, I should be looking down on you. Come on, people, vote for this. Would you really vote for a two-stroke single?
Yeah. So if you're in the comments, tell us which one would you pick. Would you go for complete Frugal Master SSDR Shadow, because it is the winner technically, or do you cast aside all of that and go, actually, I'm not all about being a skinflint, and I'll take the charm of Ian's Yugoslavian big Cessna.
It's a warbird. It's a warbird as well, so you get like a genuine warbird.
Yeah, it's one of those airplanes where you have to point and go, look, it's a warbird.
Yeah, well, no one's ever going to do that with a Streak Shadow or thruster, are they?
They're not. No. Even if you do that, you go, that's not. So.
Okay. Well, while people are making their comments, Dave, do you want to quickly rattle through the events this week?
Yes.
One, isn't there?
There are some events I've got in front of me here. There are quite a lot of events due to take place this weekend, but as ever, check the weather. One that's been cancelled, which was a big event, is the Scottish Aero Club annual flying at Perth. That's been cancelled. There's going to be a new date for that. They decided early to cancel that one. But there are other things on. There's a Wings and Wheel flying at St Michael's Airfield, a Vintage Aircraft Club flying at Wickenby. Obviously, Spamfield is at Sandown Airport all weekend. There's an open day at flying at Blackbush. There's a Burr flying at Burr Airfield in County Offaly.
That's Northern Ireland?
Yes, I think so. Yes.
Yeah.
There's at Brayton, there's a Vintage Aircraft Club flying. And there's a flying and aerial treasure hunt at Easterton Airfield. So there's a lot going on this weekend. But check before you go to any of them, because the weather's, as Simon said, a bit mixed.
Okay.
Cool. What are the comments then?
Comments. It would appear that when it comes to most horsepower for least outlay, no one cares about being frugal, because Ian wins just to experience 3,600 RPM. Ian wins just for quirks. Lyndon says, just imagine trying to maintain Ian's Tito's Yugoslav high wing. Well, there we go.
Trying to get parts for it is going to be hard. Here's a Tito story. I think
yes,
it's a long time ago when there was a road tax factory visit, and they invited a whole bunch of people over, and we stayed in some hotel, and they said, right, we're going to go for dinner. And we went for dinner in a place called Hangar 7, which is at Salzburg, which is the famous Red Bull hangar, which, you know, half of it's maintenance, half of it's very, very nice posh museum and great restaurant. And they flew us there in Tito's what used to be Tito's DC-3.
Or even DC-7, wasn't it?
Might have been DC-6, I was going to say, actually.
Okay, the four-seat nose wheel airliner, isn't it? So,
how many seats?
Sorry, four-engined. Yeah, the four-engined nose wheel airliner, not four.
There weren't that many seats, and they're all very nice, big leather plush seats, and beautifully restored at ridiculous cost, I imagine. But anyway, so that's my Tito connection.
Very nice.
Yes.
There's an Ed wins, but it's a pity vote. It's clearly an Ian wins week. So,
thank you very much, people. And I mean, when you compare it to what a horsepower per dollar or pound costs on something like a brand new 172 SP or something.
Yeah, Mark Albury says, I once met a guy flying a Cessna 310 he bought for 15k. That had 520 horsepower. That would have been that kind of deal. I think that you might be somewhere along the lines of maybe winning there with that.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, there used to be quite a few, less so now, quite a few sort of old twins with time expired engines that were still running that were like super cheap. They were kind of like buy it, run it, and then just trash it not trash it, but part it out when something goes wrong, when it needs a new tire or something.
I did. There was a while ago. Some of the old Oxford Seneca fleet was being sold off, wasn't it? And there was a Seneca for £9,995, which had something like, I think it had 5,000 hours on both engines or something, and it was. We were like, as soon as the ashtray comes off in your hand, it's like, no, scrap that.
Scrap it. Can't afford anything else. Yeah, absolutely. Right. In that case, thank you very much for watching us this morning. I hope you either watch us now live or you get to watch it on catch up.
And I've got to say, there's a lot of people. I'm surprised. There's a lot of people watching for a Friday morning. So thank you for coming along.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Apologies for last night. Wasn't us. It was Google Cloud. AWS was down. All sorts of things down all over the place. We could do nothing about it. We hung around and had a good chat in the chat. Anyway, lots of chats going on. Not sure. Dave's dog's decided it must be time for food or to go out. Or
it's time for the postie, and he's just ripped up all the posts.
So there's no. If you send Dave an invoice, he'll go, my dog ate it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, team. Have a great weekend. Take care of the weather this weekend and have fun. I hope if you're at Spamfield, have a great time. Thank you very much, Dan. Thank you very much, George, for coming on. And thanks very much, Jonny, for sorting that. Have a good one.
Hello, this video is sponsored by us, the FLYER Club. And if you're not a member already, we'd love for you to join.
Members get access to all of our content, our free landing fees every month, exclusive webinars, and much, much more.
It costs just £5 per month to become a member, so head on over to flyer.co.uk/membership or click the link in the description below.
It's a proper good deal.
It's a bargain.